Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor Ipshita Bansal from BPS Women's University, Sonipat, Haryana. Today we are going to talk on the module Evolving Strategic Role of Human Resource from the paper Strategic Human Resource Management. After completing this module, the students will be able to understand first, evolution of strategic human resource management, and second, evolving roles and responsibilities of human resource professionals. The human resource profession is rapidly changing and expanding. As the world of the work evolves, new areas of expertise are required to drive business results within organizations. Additionally, there is an oversupply of labor and an undersupply of right talent on the global market. The oversupply of labor comes after a global recession followed by a tepid economic recovery, while the undersupply of talent results from rapidly changing technology and business dynamics. The skills required to meet employers' needs from yesterday are already dated, widening the skill gap and perpetuating the global talent shortage. Because economic, demographic, technological and social forces will continue to evolve, companies must have a flexible and agile workforce. To achieve this, HR professionals must adopt three critical roles. The three critical roles are supply and demand experts, being designers and being marketers. HR professionals as supply and demand experts. They must understand how demand for their company's products and services impacts the demand for talent and assess whether or not the results align with their business strategy. Specifically, HR must ensure that their organizations have the right balance of skilled talent to meet changing needs and achieve business goals. HR leaders need to provide market intelligence supported by relevant data, understand their internal and external talent supply, and how forces are reshaping the availability of required skills. If there is any misalignment between business objectives and workforce capabilities, HR leaders need to have a plan in place to bridge any gaps, and they must bridge them before quickly than in the past. Harnessing data available to them as supply and demand experts can help HR professionals to ensure that their workforce is aligned with the current and future needs of their organizations to drive speed, agility, innovation, and productivity. HR professionals as marketers. The second role that HR must adopt is that of a marketer. Talent is also now a savvy and sophisticated consumer. HR needs to understand and consider how organizational branding, messages, and image can help win in demand skills. In a world of talent shortages, HR's role has expanded to include attracting and retaining customers or talent in the same way that marketing segments and targets consumers of the company's products and services. HR must think differently and shift from one-size-fits-all approaches to create value propositions that appeal to the needs of individuals and align with organizational objectives. To access talent in an increasingly competitive marketplace, organizations must pinpoint and market their strengths to attract talent pools with the skills their businesses need to succeed. Marketing cannot stop as soon as company successfully gets talent through the door. Organizations need to develop career paths that allow employees to advance business goals as well as allow them to develop their skills and grow. Leaders throughout the organization must be empowered to focus on and be held accountable for employee development so that top talent stays motivated and engaged. As with any consumer, companies must regularly seek out employee feedback to ensure that improvement is an ongoing process and act quickly to address any misalignment. Quantitative and actionable employee feedback will help improve engagement and ultimately benefit employers as talent is motivated and therefore more productive and aligned with organizational needs. HR professionals as designers. The third role of HR leaders must adopt is that of being designers, thinking differently about how to structure work to access, mobilize, optimize, and unleash the potential of current and prospective employees. Instead of focusing solely on jobs, HR professionals should expand its view to include the intended outcomes of work. Work models should be reimagined to fully leverage the talent ecosystem, manage a diverse workplace while continuing to increase productivity and innovation. Structuring work innovatively to include various models from traditional to strategic can help advance business goals and attract skilled talent. Working as designers, HR leaders must build systems to drive desired outcomes and develop the right balance of talent. As more and more segmentation and specificity of work, particularly knowledge work, is demanded, work will be divided into smaller and smaller tasks which will be distributed to many people. Work will also increasingly be performed by freelancers and consultants willing to work on an outcome basis so that they can choose the work they want to do. A different way of thinking is needed to cultivate communities of work and balance the employment mix to include contingent, fully outsourced, partially retired and other workers, as permanent full-time employment is no longer by default the best fit for employers or individuals or what drives time to value. So, let us now understand the evolution stages of HR. Employees are integral for any business, and understanding the human resource function is essential to manage them. Business plans, strategies, implementation of these plans are dependent on how human resources discover innovative approaches to resolve employee-related issues. A review of the past stages of the HR department's evolution helps in understanding how HR reached its present state. Let's now understand the evolution of strategic HRM. Strategic HRM evolved from industrial era personnel management, post Fair Labor Standards Act HRM, 21st century HRM to information era HRM. Let's consider first industrial era personnel management. The 20th century witnessed severe labor interest due to the employment at will doctrine and yellow dog contracts that allowed employers to fire employees at will. These rules also restricted employees from participating in union activities. Because of frequent strikes and lack of manpower, companies instituted personnel departments to perform administrative activities related to employees. This was the time labor unions became prevalent, and the personnel department was used to resolve wage-related issues and other differences between the union and management. The personnel manager was responsible for employee attendance, labor dispute management, and general compliances of employee health and safety requirements. The recruitment section of the personnel department dealt mainly with selecting labor employees along with a few salaried professionals. Post FLSA HR. FLSA stands for Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938. It was instituted around the time of Great Depression. The FLSA mandated minimum wages, which brought cheer to the working population along with other laws that safeguard employee interests. Organizations set up management teams that handled various facets of business. As such, the personnel department's role evolved to primarily statutory compliance and employee health and safety concerns. At this time, training and development took precedence in businesses, and the Human Resource Department was created to address the need. Key HR functions therefore included performance and succession management along with training and development. Over time, the roles between HR and personnel department blurred. 21st century HRM. Changes in the economic conditions of the 21st century brought about the need for HR to take on additional responsibilities. HR staff therefore began actively participating in business decision making. Often sharing a seat at the management table, they help determine when to downsize, outsource, retrain, and recruit suitable talent. HR staff also participate in managing the cost of employee benefits such as insurance and pension, and in handling other issues and activities such as creating and documenting policy, assisting with employee related litigation, and ensuring compliance with employment laws such as the Employee Retirement Income Security Act. Helping to determine the company's overall direction, HR departments focus on building organizational capabilities, using employee management and development strategies that align with organizational goals. Information Age HRM. The invention of new technologies and improvements on old ones has introduced a way of businesses to work across international borders. Thus, information technologies and globalization has changed business processes and opened up new avenues and challenges for human resources. While the costs are reduced and manpower is abundant, human resource areas experienced unforeseen challenges. Some of these challenges include difficulties in managing employees dispersed across the globe, adjusting to new cultures and allocating resources in a timely manner. Here, new options such as stimulated training and resource management software are used to help bridge the gaps. HR departments changed again to adapt to the information age and stay above the manpower challenges. Let's now understand the changing role of human resources in 21st century. There are incredible number of pressures on today's organizations. To name a few, environmental pressures such as increasing globalization, rapid technological change, and tougher competition. Organizational changes such as new organizational alliances, new structures and hierarchies, new ways of assigning work, and a very high rate of change. Changes in the workforce including employee priorities, capabilities, and demographic characteristics. Within these pressured organizations, there is a need for and opportunity for the human resource function to play a critical role in helping organizations navigate through these transitions. In order to play this role, however, HR will have to increase its real and perceived value. The human resources has been evolving for some time now. The shift from personnel to human resources for example, was part of the movement to acknowledge the value of employees as an organizational resource, and was an attempt to remove some of the stigma that was coming to be associated with slow, bureaucratic personnel department. This shift in label was accompanied by a call for HR to become a strategic partner with the leaders of the business to contribute to significant business decisions, advise on critical transitions, and develop the value of the employees. In short, to have a seat at the table. Dave Ulrich's multifaceted approach to delivering HR services. He provides a clear path to the next generation of HR with human resource champions, the next agenda for adding value and delivering results. He describes a multifaceted approach to delivering HR services that meets the need of both employees and employers and positions HR as a significant contributor to organizational success. He presents his approach in terms of deliverables for which HR should be responsible, in the form of strategy execution, administrative efficiency, employee contribution, and capacity for change. In the course of delivering these 4 areas, he describes 4 corresponding roles for HR to play within a business. As a strategic partner, working to align HR and business strategy. As an administrative expert, working to improve organizational processes and deliver basic HR services. As an employee champion, listening and responding to employees' needs. As a change agent, managing change processes to increase the effectiveness of the organization. Similarly, Johnson describes his experiences in executive search, in which CEOs describe the HR leaders they want to hire. They want people who will be successful business partners, strategic thinkers, and people who will understand the pressures of running an effective business in today's market. He reports that when hiring a leader for the HR function, most CEOs ask for someone who is not a typical HR person, and that most of the successful candidates describe themselves that way. This trend reflects the common perception that HR, business as usual, is not prepared to meet the challenges that today's businesses present. Making the shift to a new HR role will raise unique issues for every HR group that attempts it. But there are some common steps and activities that will increase the likelihood of success. Strong HR leadership, strong future orientation, flexibility and creativity, and delivering value. So let's understand in some detail what is strong HR leadership. As with any major change effort, a strong leader can develop a clear vision, motivate others to share that vision, and help them work towards achieving it. In order to change the role of HR in an organization, the HR leader will need to work both within the HR group and with the organizational leaders to reshape everyone's expectation of what HR can and will deliver. The success of the change will depend upon HR's ability to meet the real needs of the organization and credibility it develops. Strong future orientation. What does this mean? One of the ways that HR can provide value is to understand how changing environmental, organizational, and workforce factors will influence the business. Anticipate the associated HR needs and be prepared to deliver appropriate solutions to meet those needs. By maintaining a focus on workplace trends, for instance, HR can prepare to evaluate the impact that particular changes are likely to have on an organization's people and processes, and be prepared to work with the business leaders to decide how to respond, being ahead of the curve, not behind it. For example, one movement that is likely to have significant impact on the way people are hired, managed and valued is that of intellectual capital. A new role HR department is one that has learned about intellectual capital and its implications, evaluated the impact on current practice, and developed ideas and recommendations for changing HR practice and other business processes. Flexibility and creativity. So, what does this mean? An HR group that is successful in the future will likely be one that is responsive to the changing needs of its client organization. Responsiveness in the changing world of work will require being flexible. As the organizations change, so will their needs and priorities. In addition, traditional activities and processes may not be sufficient to meet the unique needs of the future HR leaders, will likely to rely on creativity of their groups to achieve effective results. Increasing globalization of the market will create a need for both flexibility and creativity as businesses try to succeed in new locations with new workforce, with new customers. Delivering value. Although this is not a new challenge for HR, it remains a critical one. HR is still perceived by many within today's organizations as simply a non-revenue generating function. It is important to make apparent the value provided by working with the management team to hire the right people, manage them well, pay them appropriately, and build a working environment that encourages success. Beatty and Schreiner in 1997 extended the concept of delivering value within the organization by arguing that HR must deliver economic value to the customers as well as to the employees. Similar to other strategic units, strategic human resource management will be expected to work in outcome-based model where the result of their action should be specific and measurable. Many of new businesses have dedicated service line with staff placement models, and these approaches have direct revenue generation impact of strategic human resource management practices. Strategies around upskilling and cross-skilling of existing workforce deliver and demand direct business impact for SHRM leader. So students, let's now summarize what we understood in this module. The role of human resource professionals has been steadily evolving over the course of the last century, shifting from the antiquated personnel department to human resources department has in and of itself transformed the way that companies see the human element. This change has come about as a result of improved employment laws, improved working conditions, and economic challenges that have rocked all industries. Thus, the job of the average HR person has also had to change to keep up with the demands of the organization on many fronts. When you ask the HR professional of how today to define his or her role within the company, you will generally get a variety of answers. It seems that human resources has many responsibilities that adapt for different type of industries and organizations. While HR professionals are still fighting to be seen as strategic partners in the meeting rooms of many companies, their value has risen in the eyes of company leaders. Now seen as a true resource, HR officers work in tandem with department managers and decision makers to forge the workplace of the future. HR professionals have been forced to evolve in many unexpected ways. Instead of just handling routine employment duties, HR professionals are now also handling the heavy burden of recruiting, training and developing employees in as safe a workplace as possible. In the past, HR professionals were asked to specialize in one area of his realm. But today, the best HR people are generalists who have the ability to handle any and all areas of human resources. The traditional hierarchy of HR department is also evolving, with teams of equally responsible officers representing all facets of corporate life. Whatever the future holds for human resources, HR professionals have to be ready to face the challenges of life as an HR professional through continual education and networking to stay ahead of the trends. Thank you.